Hello, welcome back to this particular episode. In this channel here, we talk of matters pertaining Africa, Pan-Africanism, great leaders talk, matters affecting Africans at large, both locally and internationally, especially the Africans in diaspora. In this particular show here, without that much further ado, we are going to talk about some of the African leaders' treatment, how they are treated outside there, especially when they find themselves in maybe problems. And of course, joined with me is a legal mind, a person of interest here. He's going to introduce himself shortly, but we're going to be looking at, focusing and featuring into this life of one of, if you don't know him, Abdul Badida, one and the only Abdul Badida, who recently was convicted and has been sentenced over some issues that shortly we're going to deliberate over. So, welcome, my friend.
Thank you very much. Rotish David here, a law student. As my good friend Sherlock has mentioned, we are delving into the issue of the perception of the African leaders in diaspora. You know, we have been hearing that African leaders can be invited, 55 of them, to one country. Others are even saying that those people cannot govern at all. And yes, we have witnessed in Kenya recently that one of the presidential aspirants has been convicted to around 7 to 8 years in the United States of America over one of the most interesting offenses possible for a person of his stature.
Very interesting.
Very interesting stuff.
So it is about these viewers that we're going to have a deliberation over the same. Now, he has mentioned about the 55 member states, the heads of state, people with integrity, people with families, when they are summoned, especially in some cases before we get to Abdul Badida, you know, in most cases they're usually summoned by just one president or one of the Western presidents.
Of interesting countries like Indonesia. Indonesia is inviting all African
member states.
Actually, the most interesting occasion for me is when they were invited to the United Kingdom. And then they were being ferried from the airport, or it was their hotels.
It was by bus. By bus, like
by bus. All of them.
Something that also, I don't know, okay.
It was very interesting.
I was just that correct.
We digress, but yeah, that's one of the, it just shows how African leaders are perceived.
Yeah.
And I think we need to look into, is it justified? Is it that we lack good leaders who command respect out there? Because as we have said, the issue of Abdul Badida just shows us Mwalimu.
Mwalimu literature.
A very serious title in an African state, like the former Mwalimu Julius Kambarage Nyerere. Mwalimu has been used to in reference to serious individuals. Yeah. So Abdul Badida, just to dive right into it, to start us off, has been convicted to 8 years.
8 years.
Imprisonment.
8 years. 1, 2, 3, 8.
8 years. From around 2022. They're about. From by a court in the United States of America. And the offense. No one can case this can be the offense.
This can be the offense.
But the offense is stalking. Stalking. Like this guy had been given a restraint order by the court when it comes to how he can access maybe his wife. So after being given the order by the court, he went ahead and broke it. He violated the order. So for
which was barring him from
accessing his wife. I think they had a dispute, they had a problem, and he's been residing in the United States of America for some time. And just to give a context, Abdul Badida was buying here in Kenya.
He was. Yeah. In fact, he was now the man who would come in between the big big people. I mean, the big team that was playing that back then. It was between Uhuru Kenyatta and who?
And Raila Odinga.
Right Honorable himself. Yeah, exactly. And I think one thing that guided him was like he's coming in like the David and the Goliath kind of a thing. There is an analogy alluding between the David and Goliath, that he was to maneuver through them and he would bring like it would be the solution or a solution to the problem that had eaten up or beefed up between the two rifts. That is from the Right Honorable Raila Odinga and Uhuru Kenyatta.
And it shows to a very good extent how our leaders take court orders. How they handle matters rule of law. Because we have witnessed in a lot of countries that presidents and politicians do not respect court orders.
Yeah.
When the court says don't do this, the law says this against the law, don't steal people's resources.
Yes.
They are all over here, squandering
Everywhere.
everything. And a lot of people concerned were saying, how could this guy be sentenced and jailed in a foreign country?
Yeah.
And this brings us to a lot of aspects. You know, when you look into public international law, there's one of the issues when it comes to jurisdiction.
Yes.
Jurisdiction in law is basically what grants the court the authority to hear a certain matter.
Yeah.
What grants that court authority? Because it's not all courts that can handle everything.
Yes.
So the question here is, what grants a court in the United States of America the authority to entertain a matter relating to a Kenyan citizen who has been a presidential aspirant for nearly 3 times?
I feel that is really trying to underrate and underlook, like, hey, you have no say here.
Yeah.
You are on our land, and you are going to judge you. We are going to execute you according to our laws, the laws of the land.
Yeah.
And I feel like to African leaders, especially when I'm alluding to Africanism and African leaders, that wasn't the right way. It was supposed to be accorded a certain kind of a treatment. But I don't know if that is also prescribed in the matters of the law or in the books of the law.
The law interestingly doesn't care who you are.
It cuts across.
Interestingly, the law, public international law, as one of the foundations of jurisdiction being nationality. We have nationality, we have where that person, the region within where the crime was committed. Yeah, even in private international law, when it comes to matters, family, divorce, marriage and such things, we look into the domicile state. If you are a Kenyan citizen but you are domiciled in somewhere like, something we call lex domicii in Latin.
Wow.
So sometimes the law intervenes even if that's not your home. If the offense was committed outside Kenya in that particular state and it was heard by a court there, or even if it concerned a citizen of that particular state, then sometimes even a citizen of the United States can commit a crime here, but is taken to in something we call we call forum convenience in private international law.
Good.
But in public international law, it's generally
of course, right there, but there's no problem.
But generally, the distinction between the two, public international law concerns civil things.
Civil
politics, the politics and the law of in international sphere. But private international law concerns civil wrongs. You know, the common mistakes that people do in marriage,
civil wrongs. These ones which are usually
taught in nature, contractual, commercial, family issues, so such things. So it's sometimes it's called choice of law, because the question majorly is what law do we use? Yeah. So it's right for the United States of America to judge
that one.
Yeah. But I think it's a very massive smack on the face when it comes to the Africans,
how we are perceived out there. Now, imagine, I want to bring a context here. But of course, we are having this one along. There's a context whereby you have, let's say, for example, a white or maybe another citizen of a different country from the West, in most cases, they have committed a crime. It's time and time again. It's not the first time. We've seen some Chinese, just some Chinese nationalities, aggressively committing some crimes here. But they cannot be, charged, or they cannot be, taken to court, handled the way here in Kenya, because as you just said that we've got the law as the jurisdiction where the crime was committed. You'll be charged according with the law of that particular land. But you realize that those particular exotics, like the Western, nationalities, they are shipped to their country to go and charge there. Why is that not? What did that not happen to Abdul Badida?
I think it's just because they are big boys. You know, the problem with African states is that sometimes we are undermined, sometimes we are looked down upon, sometimes other states feel like they want to flex their muscles and show us who is who here. And Thomas Isidore Noel Sankara of the former Burkina Faso. The current Burkina Faso, the former Upper Volta, was the president from around 1983 to 87 before he was assassinated.
Sankara,
the revolutionary leader.
Yeah,
seriously
those are the
adored.
motivators of Traore.
Because he was even called the Che Guevara of Africa.
Che Guevara.
From Ernesto Rafael Che Guevara of Cuba, the former Cuba revolutionary leader. He says, Thomas Sankara says that whoever feeds you controls you. Whoever feeds you controls you. If the big boys who pay your rent tell you you have arrested our citizen, bring him back home, what can you say?
Nothing.
But for Kenya, we cannot say we want our Abduba leader because
we want our Abduba leader.
We are not the big boys. No one can listen to us. You know,
but I think, to me, I feel like Kenya has to, play a role there. Seriously. Not only Kenya, but we have got the government of Kenya. Let's not talk about Kenya, because you cannot amass our energies out there and then start saying that we want Abduba leader here. But the government of Kenya can still do something that we know. This particular gentleman, he had vied for presidency. He's a very reputable person. He holds a certain value in the people that he was representing. He cannot be, humiliated and looked upon.
But I think even the problem might be the government does not want to associate themselves with a person who breaks the law in one of the most absurd
conditions
ways possible. So stalking is an offense that cannot be attributed to a distinguished leader. But leave alone the situation of Abduba leader. There's even that case of a guy called Steve-O, who was arrested in Saudi Arabia, and is to be executed if around 100 million, if I'm not wrong,
if they were not
paid, and it has not even been paid till now, and the government
is silent about that.
Anything. So Abduba did at least it's 8 years, and I think
then at least
I think Steve-O
is going to disappear. Steve-O is disappearing.
Is disappearing, and the parents were even crying. The law state of Kenya commented about it. The president, Faith Odhiambo Senior, even talked about it and said we should contribute. We have a till number here. We should contribute. So I think the government is feeling embarrassed to be to defend one of their own, which is unfortunate, and it shows how just our leaders are, the hypocrisy that is being perpetuated by the West is in massive proportions.
Now that there's this particular thing, now it all accumulates to the whole aspect of how Africa and African leaders have been perceived internationally. That these are people like African leaders, they're puppets, they're playing whatever the music or they're dancing to whether the music that is being played by the West. And something that really gets me agitated, I'm really disgusted about the African leaders, especially when they do not have their say and they stick to their say. To their say rather. I remember one of the occasions when they were summoned in, there have been all these particular times being summoned in UK and also even in Russia.
And China.
And even China recently, the other day. In China.
Indonesia was the most absurd one.
That was Indonesia. What is in the whole of Africa, even comparative the GDP of Africa and Indonesia, seriously, if all these particular 54 member states, they were to come together and try to see how maybe the GDP, that comparatively, they can be put on the same, of the same weight, heavyweight rather. They can.
But they have the inferiority complexities, and it's a problem that Africa struggles with in the longest run. That's why when kids in the village see a white person, they see wealth,
they see money.
And everyone actually,
they
it's not
see
even people in the village. They see some element of superiority and feel like we are down. And I think something should be done about that. That's why even this platform exists, so that we can talk about African issues and decide on how we can emancipate each other. And even the viewers can continue suggesting some of the things they want to hear from us on the comment section. So basically, it speaks to how we are perceived as a people and how our nations are perceived. It's ironical and very interesting that most of the people in the Western and other countries outside Africa talk about Africa as if it's one state. It's a single state.
You ask them, which country do you come from? I come from, they won't tell you that I come from Kenya. I come from Africa. Oh, you come from Africa.
Actually, if you ask even them, do you know any country
in Africa?
They think Africa as a country.
As a country.
Of course they know Kenya because we have very serious athletes. Which is which is a good thing, except for when we are trending worldwide for the wrong reasons, like those of Abuba leader. But
and also the Basaka, the cult, the
Shakahola stuff and other things, which is unfortunate. But we are perceived as one country, and it is mostly because of economics, because politics is tied to economics. If people feel like you are not a threat to them, then you do not count. Africa is treated like just a necessary dependent, because they depend on us for a lot of things. You have seen France is one of the most biggest exporters of furniture. And they do not have forests.
They don't have forests there.
So it's very questionable where they get all these trees.
Even coffee.
So, of course, there are a lot of countries that they get all these things from.
Yes.
So I think it's a question of economics. It's a question of economics, how they perceive us. We cannot really talk as a unit, even as the African Union, because everyone wants to eat.
Everybody needs to eat.
They do not want to talk as a united front. Kenya wants to sort its own
issues.
Rwanda wants to the other day, Britain.
No, it was Germany. Now it's Germany now. Germany is trying to divert its immigrants.
But Britain, I was saying they wanted to bring
UK.
The United Kingdom wanted to bring its
immigrants.
The immigrants,
the illegal ones, so that they can be processed
to Rwanda. Which is very
what is that?
Because Rwanda is even struggling to cater for its citizens, and then you want to add. It was just absurd.
This is called the question, or this brings to this particular issue, as you are, of course, in line with what you're saying, that Africa really needs to be able to, first things first, be able to have a unity, a certain kind of unity. And that particular unity, therefore, will see Africa as a country. Then it can be, you cannot bring China and, let's say, for example, Malawi on the same ring, and you now expect them to fight. Economically, those guys are giants.
They are giants.
They're a million times better than Malawi, for example. That also tells us that, you see, for you to competitively compete and bring whatever your allegations on the board, like on the table, like, hey, as Zambia, we want China, you build all these particular roads and we're going to pay you these. China will look at you, what do you have?
You cannot talk.
You cannot talk.
You have nothing.
Even if you are in.
And that's the solution, actually. Because you cannot continue crying 60 years later. That we are suffering, we are a big thing, and people are not focusing on us. Sympathy and crying about all these things won't help us in any way. So there are a lot of things that have to be factored in, really. Have to be factored in insofar as, so that Africa can realize that independence, so that they can have the privileges that other nations have. And in 1964, I think the May of 1964, when they were formulated the OAU in Addis Ababa, the Osajevo,
they call it the Osajevo,
Kwame Nkrumah, and all these other guys, they talked about the need for us to unite, because they knew neocolonialism will come back if you don't unite. But we assumed it. Other countries said let's have the small blocks first, and then we can think about it later, so that we can have the United Federation of Africa. And that's why they have the Vision 2063. 2063 is very close.
It's very close.
It's very close.
And the way things are going, like we have the Western Bloc. Right now we have some coups. And those coups are as a result of some people feeling dissatisfied about what is going on in their government. We have Ibrahim Traore. We have got from Nigeria. We have those countries that recently have gone through that phase of that particular wave of coups. And we have got some countries in the north that of Africa. They don't look like they're in Africa. Look at the countries like not Morocco, but we have Egypt. Egypt, we have Chad, we have Tunisia. Do those countries really, are they part of it? Even if they were to be called to come together, they're like, we are one united front from Africa. I do not know how this one is supposed to be going. Like, even as we have in this particular chairperson, the chair of the AU currently, which is going on.
Mohamed
Faki, who is retiring
elections
right now.
Coming in January.
Coming January. The elections are in January, isn't it?
2025.
And we have Raila. And we also have the other contestants. There's going to be a very strong person who's coming to represent that one. Who is
Mahmoud
able to,
from Mozambique.
And also there's somebody from Eritrea.
Yeah,
Was it
a guy from Madagascar.
Madagascar too. So Madagascar, I think, no, not Madagascar, exactly. And I feel like if there is this particular leader is going to come out to present or to chair this particular seat or to carry out, he needs also to be able to amalgamate all these particular 54 member states to be able to now speak in one voice. And I would prefer that even they have one economic front. I think you've heard of the BRICS. The BRICS in Africa, it's coming in substitute of like to cover competition to NATO kind of a thing. BRICS is Britain, Russia, and we have India, and then also China and South Africa.
And Brazil and South Africa.
And South Africa, exactly. So they're coming up with the...
Actually, it's Brazil. Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa.
So we only have South Africa, which represent that one, which is a right forum, a right step towards redeeming Africa from the status quo. And I feel like Africans...
But I think even if we are to go the BRICS way, we will just be replacing one master with the other. We are just eliminating the West, and going for Asia and the other side of America. Which is not really the best solution because they are including South Africa in as a representative of the entire Africa. It's not because South Africa is a big power. It's maybe just because they want to have a representative of Africa, so that they can say even Africa is catered for. Is catered for. I think having a united economic front as the continent of Africa
is the way to go.
Is the way to go for us. But we lack the political goodwill. A state like Kenya would tell you. Uganda has its own problems. Somalia has its own problems. Tanzania has its own problems. We have ours, but we feel ours are manageable. We do not want to associate with anyone else. Why should we have one state and suffer with other people when we can sort our own issues? Which is very, it's a narrow way of looking at things. But that's how we are. You know, the former chairperson before Faki of the AU, the African Union, Dr. Dlamini Ngosazana Zuma. Zuma writes in her inaugural speech when she writes to Kwame Nkrumah an imaginary email or a letter, that we are now in 2063, and we have a railway line from Tanzania to Ethiopia. We get all our food from Congo. We have one currency as the African continent. Because that was the dream that these people had. That Kwame Nkrumah, our founding fathers, and Mwalimu Julius Kambarage Nyerere and the rest, Modibo Keita from Mali, had all these ideas. But we are not there yet. We have been saying we want to disarm, we end the issue of arms by 2013. We move it, we say we want to be united by 2063, which we are hopeful we'll get there. But it's still a challenge and we lack the political goodwill. I don't know.
And I see that the way to go. Because this particular front, that if Africa is going to be united, there has to be united as blocks. We have got the Northern Bloc, we have the Eastern Bloc, we have the Western Bloc, Central Bloc, and the Southern Bloc. Because trying to put all these particular 54 member states, the possibilities, first of all, the economic front, a common economic front, number one. Even as you just said, opening up Africa without having borders, visas, they have to be eradicated. Think of these particular countries. How does the West really navigate from one state to another? Like, for example, in the UK. Just, you don't need to become like you are from this particular state. Only one common passport.
Actually, I was seeing even Senior Counsel Ahmed Nasir Abdullahi navigating. He went to the United States, got there, went to Britain, and then from Britain he was going to Italy, going to all these other countries in Europe. Just using a car, using his car, just crossing the borders very flexibly. So it's a way to go. It's a way to go. And we need to look into really suggestions of trying to make this dream possible, and that's why we are here.
That's why we are here, and this particular platform, kindly, if you're out there, you are feeling this particular heated debate or the particular conversation, and you are outside, or whether you're locally here in Africa, it's high time that we need to step up our game. We need to wake up. And do drop us your comment on the comment section of what exactly needs to be done. We've already said here that a common economic front from Africa, and that one to be achieved or to be realized, there's got to be an amalgamation of the 54 member states, like coming together so that we're able to see, or the Western are able to see as one united thing. Otherwise, if they see us as fragments, we are doomed. We're done. Let us know from your comment section, the comment section, of what exactly needs to be done as Africans, even from member states, from which country that you represent. Don't feel shy. Represent your country and let us exactly know what needs to be done. And through this particular platform, we'll also be sharing it with the audience, larger audience out there, especially those ones in the diaspora. It's high time that Africa needs to be able to step up its game. As we're winding up, sir, I feel like finally, as we are concluding this one here, that even as we try to say that particular respect that needs to be accorded to the African leaders, just like Abduba did, he does not have to undergo whatever that is going on. He only goes through that one because of the inferiority complexities that they feel that even that particular state, I meant to understand it was it was Illinois, Illinois, I think, from Illinois state. Illinois, that you see, they see that, hey, this person can be charged according to this. Yes, of course, there is a law, there is jurisdiction, there is applications, but this particular person needed, he was
they can bring him home and then he gets charged here, or see how they can handle it. Because if it would have been a leader from other countries, it would have been a different scenario. But again, our leaders should just respect the law. The law is above everybody.
Guys, you've heard it. As we're just concluding, we're trying to say that this platform will be venturing, that is an echoing over the same, we'll be venturing on matters to do with African, Pan-Africanism, what needs to be done, Vision 2060, is it a dream, realized, a realizable dream, or we just have breathing, we have just only just hot airs that we're breathe around. And do not forget to give us a thumbs up, a subscription, with a tiny little comment down there of what your sentiments are. Stay tuned again in the next episode where we're going to be talking on reparations. Africa needs to be compensated. This is Lit Up. Stay tuned.